All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of the Senpai Kohai podcast. It's your boy Trey, and with me is the Jesse to my James, the Misty to my Brock, the Pikachu to my. Mm, I don't want to say Ash because that seems a little onery. Um, hmm.
A
Steven,
little
what are you doing
onery.
over there? A little owner has a little ownership to it. I don't know because Pikachu
Oh,
is
I
still
see. Okay.
Ash's.
I thought you were just being really southern and calling somebody honorary, but you said it
Honoring, yeah.
onery.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No. Wow. Yeah, I appreciate the Jesse and James one. Brock's a pain in my ass. I'm not a fan of Brock, actually. I
Wow.
like Misty. I like Misty, but I don't like Brock.
No, I liked Brock as a kid. I don't appreciate him now because he's a social pain in the ass. He really does just shoot his shot every time he can, and he's really just. It's like shut the fuck up, Brock. We're trying to progress the plot.
Yeah.
Go away.
Absolutely. I
That makes
don't
sense.
have a deep love for Brock. He's always kind of a goofball and hitting on ladies and really just kind of gets in the way of everything. I mean, Misty's kind of a tsundere to a degree, but I like her character design actually. Like
Yeah.
I like the little side ponytail. I dig it. Anyways, enough about that. I am just hanging out. I have had a lovely weekend enjoying some anime and some games, and I'm excited to talk about it because I actually have more than one thing for once in my life, which is actually pretty exciting. Um, how about you, my friend?
I have a plethora of news. I have
Oh,
progress. I have good things all over. I think we both have quite a bit to talk about intro wise before we get to the second part of our meat and potatoes today. That being K-On! Versus BECK, our anime music comparison. In case you missed last week's episode, we were comparing those. In case you want to pause this and go listen to last week's episode, make sure you're up to date because we are continuing where we left off there. But before we get back into that, just a preface, Steven, let's talk anime first. We'll get our current anime, we'll go to games, and then we'll jump back into the anime we were talking about. So,
sounds good.
what the hell were you watching? What were you reading? What was glazing your eyes?
All right. Well, so one of the big huge hits of this season, if you haven't been on Twitter in any capacity in the anime genre, is My Dress Up Darling, which is a series about cosplay.
Unfucking fortunately.
Yeah,
Unfucking fortunately.
I I was actually telling Trey about this. It's there's a little bit of like teenage Steven in here that's a little salty because I read the manga for this like a year or so ago, like just it's been around for a while, and I love it, love the storyline, I love the characters, I love the themes of it. And I told everybody under the sun, go read it, and they're like, yeah, all right, Steven, we'll go read it, we'll check it out. It sounds really cool. And no one read that shit. Not a single person read it. Was like, hey, good suggestion, Steven. And now that chick's tits are all over Twitter, and it's upsetting me. It's upsetting me slightly. I mean, it's just, I mean, the animation studio is doing a great job of adapting, and it's definitely, I like seeing a female character that isn't certain tropes. It's a very unique characterization she has in the series. Um, but of course, the story is really about my main man Gojo and him overcoming his kind of like phobias and like kind of like complexes about the things he loves by interacting with somebody who has no shame about what they love. And I think that's really where the meat of the story is, because it's basically about this guy who likes doing old traditional Hina dolls. And so like he does makeup and makes these little traditional dolls, and he can do stuff with hair and cloth and that sort of thing. And then but he got made fun of as a kid. And so he's like really introverted and like, doesn't want to tell people about it. So he's always by himself. And he meets this was it Gyaru, the gal, who is like super social, loud, boisterous, just kind of like open to everybody. And it turns out she loves cosplay, and so she kind of harangues him into helping her make a cosplay outfit. And the story continues from there. That's kind of a quick one. I like the animation. I love the story. I already know the story. I was actually rereading the manga this weekend. Uh, looking forward to more of it, but I hope Twitter starts to realize that what the show is really about is Best Boy Gojo. I need more of him.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired of seeing old girl in the bathing suit and everywhere else. I'm tired of it. Normally I can appreciate it, but too much is a thing. It's all right, man. That there's got to be something else out here this season that's a gracing at this point. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in this season, so maybe not yet. Beach episodes haven't come out yet. You got to wait till episode 4 or 5 before beach episodes start popping off. Wait till the cast gets here.
What about the Hot Springs episodes?
Hot Spring? That's normally episode 7 or 8. We need to have a trope episode. We need to have a trope episode, but that's normally 7 or 8. You'll see that happen before the climax or after the climax. It's normally where I see them. But come on, we got to have a beach episode somewhere at this point. Get this girl the fuck off Twitter. But what is that all you're watching? My Dress Up Darling?
Oh no, I'm watching some other stuff too. I got 2 more titles in the pipeline to start with. Okay, so yeah, this is the other thing you've probably seen like shit tons on Twitter and social media, and that would be Demon Slayer's Entertainment District arc. And
you're hitting on everything I'm tired of. Everything.
You're such a hipster. You know, a lot of people like this thing. I'm not gonna fucking watch it. Screw this. But no, it's a solid show. It's doing a really good job, and Zenitsu's actually stepping the fuck up in this season. This arc, and I'm really enjoying him. As a matter of fact, he's actually probably one of the best parts of this arc that's going on. They're all pretty freaking charming and do some great stuff in this arc, and I think you'll like it. I think you're just probably gonna have to wait till it's all over so you can just binge it again and not have that hype monster like hanging over your head, and you can just enjoy it for what it is, because that's what you did with the first season of Demon Slayer, as I recall. Like you didn't get in when it started watching week to week and like riding that hype train all up and down Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all that. You just waited till it was all died down and got into it all in one fell swoop.
I can't do the week by week. It hurts me. I'd rather just do it all at once, and I can watch it on my own schedule. I live by my time. I'm the god of my own realm. It's Funimation and Crunchyroll don't tell me when to watch anime. I do. You hear me, Crunchyroll-sama? I do what I want. I make the anime around here.
Look at me. Look in my eyes.
I'm the captain.
I am the god now.
I am the kami now.
Oh man, and you've been okay. We'll get into your stuff in just a second. I'll wrap up by saying that this weekend was actually a magical time for me because I convinced my significant other to sit down and choose an anime to watch that we could watch together. We could enjoy and find happiness in.
Did y'all watch Monster Musume?
Not yet. I got to build her up. I can't just like slap that out right away.
Raw dog it for Monster Musume. That's it. Hello. Look, let me show you what
I get it. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. But I do want to eventually marry her. So if I want that to happen, I can't start with Monster Musume and nagas and spiders. Like
you show her
horny with some dude.
After the marriage, you show
you can't run away now.
That's awful.
Yeah.
So what did y'all end up watching?
We ended up watching a show called Dragon Goes House Hunting, which I was like, oh, this must be like a creative like isekai or like a reborn into another body thing. No, it's exactly what it is. It says it is. A dragon, a young red dragon, gets kicked out of his home, and he has to go find a home of his own. And so he goes wandering throughout the land, and he's such a terrible dragon. It even shows like his stats. They're like really terrible stats. He has like -7 luck. And so he's just wandering around trying to get people to build him a house or help him find a home, and hijinks ensue. Like just goofy stuff happens. And it's not like this dragon can turn into a human like in some dragon lore. He's just a dragon, T-Rex arms with the wings and everything. Just he can't fly because he hasn't learned that ability yet. So it's kind of set in this world of RPGs, and he makes little references to RPG like mechanics and tropes, and it's just the best. He encounters like a band of heroes, and they're like, "We're heroes," and he questions every bit of it. He's like, "So do other people call you heroes?" And they're like, "No," and he's like, so you guys call yourselves heroes? And they're like, yes. And he's like, okay, well, I'm glad you're confident, but that's really cringe. That is the actual line in the show, and I was dying laughing. And they're like, doesn't matter. Once we get the glory from slaying a dragon, and they try to attack him, and of course he freaks out, and he gets rescued by this guy who calls down a lightning bolt and kills all the heroes. It actually does like the little cross thing, and from like Dragon Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Like so they can respawn. Like you find out they can respawn later, and so these guys end up turning up a bunch during the show. But he meets this elf, and he introduces himself as a real estate agent, and so he ends up partnered up with this elf, and the elf's business card says was it architect, real estate agent, demon lord. And so he's like, oh, don't worry about that, that's just a side thing. And so he ends up going on this journey with this dragon to
Wait,
find
the
him a
demon
house.
lord, the demon lord
Yeah,
thing is a side thing.
yeah, absolutely.
Not
And
the real
they're
estate agent.
absolutely, he's 100% all about helping people find homes. And so he goes on a journey, and like each episode is him showing him different houses he could live in, or they try to build him a house, and all these things happen. Like I think they take him to, and one of the things is he's like, oh, we should go to a haunted house because heroes don't come here, and things like that. And there's all these undead creatures, and they start making jokes about that, and him being scared. And the demon lord slash real estate agent basically seems to be having fun messing with him, and he's freaking out. It's just so damn good, and there's so much more to it. Like I told a few of the jokes, but really the jokes are coming a mile a minute, and they're really really funny. It's been a while since a show was just so irreverent that it made me just drop out laughing. I'll do like one of the ones during the haunted house episode. It was, and each episode is like kind of two sections, like a new domicile to kind of find. And the haunted house one is hilarious. And he's like, all right, well, we'll be staying the night here so we can actually check out the house. I want to go ahead and give you this. And it's a vacuum. He's like, if you encounter any ghosts, you might be able to use this. And so he puts it, like the dragon has it on his back. And so he's holding this vacuum like Luigi's Mansion. And he's like, oh, and here's also this typewriter and this ink ribbon just to make sure you can save at any point. And it's just like, it throws it out real quick. And it's so damn funny. And whoever is doing the voice of the elf and the dragon are great, because the dragon is such a wuss, and he's very high pitched and kind of like, oh my god, I'm so scared. And the elf's just like, you might need this if you're going to survive the night. And it's such a cool juxtaposition, like dub wise. I was a huge fan of the dub, and the cringe line still makes me laugh. Absolutely. But yeah, those are the three biggies that I'm really kind of dipping into. So but you've been dipping into some anime and manga lately, haven't you?
Um, I'm still getting through Dragon Ball Z for my manga. I think I'm finally out of the Z, or not Z Fighters. I'm finally out of this Saiyan saga. Finally getting into Namek in the Frieza arc. Excited to be getting there, and it's just so fast. They really don't mess around in Dragon Ball Z, or in
Mm-hmm.
just the manga. Our friend Will is reading Super, and he told me he was reading this, I think, Saturday, and then he's already got up to the Tournament of Power like by today, and so he's
Mm-hmm.
blitzing through it. There's just it's so fast getting through these mangas. And I'm also working on getting a collection of Mayor, Marchin Awakens Romance, um,
Yeah, I remember that
which,
one. Wow, what a throwback.
oh yeah, me and my brother really liked that anime whenever that was premiering on Toonami, and so we've been trying to find it, and it's hard to get a hold of. And I saw I could get it on the Google Play Store as well, and I was like, dude, I might as well. And so I'm getting like one at a time. I'll alternate that way. By the time I'm done
Mm-hmm.
with Dragon Ball, I can start Mirror, and then I'll find something else to read in the meantime. But that's
Yeah,
kind of it on my
yeah.
manga side.
Mare is actually done by the same author as Flame of Recca. Do you remember I told you about that ninja based one where
Yeah,
they all get elemental powers and stuff like that?
yeah.
It's actually really good. I feel like it's so underrated. Like I think a lot of times it gets overshadowed by Yu Yu Hakusho, with good reason. Yu Yu Hakusho is really good, but that same author made Mar. I don't really know how to say it, but
Yeah.
it kind of has that same kind of fun adventure vibe. And it's interesting because there's certain like age groups that started with Flame of Recca and then read Mar because It's like, oh, same guy Flame of Recca. And then there were some people that started with Mar and then went back and read Flame of Recca because, hey, guy who made Mar. I love that sort of thing. I think it's really cool that, you know, you can still go back and find this stuff and enjoy it. So good
Yeah,
choice. Good choice.
I'm excited once I get there. And then anime, I finished actually not long ago. What was it? After School Dice Club, and it was good. It's nice, wholesome. Just girls doing board games, and they're handling their personal problems all at the same time. Like this one girl has like this social anxiety. This one girl has problems with her dad not being there. This other one has problems trying to make board games and uses her friends to kind of overcome it. And they all kind of just use board games to get through their issues, and it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. If you're just looking for some wholesome after school fun stuff and with cutesy light art, I'd recommend it. I guess the opening and ending are both fire. They
Really?
unexpectedly fun. Yeah, I like them a lot. Um, Next up though, I think I'm starting the Vampire Dies Quickly or Dies Too Quickly. Um, all because I want to see this armadillo that I've become fascinated with. He I don't even know where he came from, but I've seen this armadillo from the show who is this vampire's familiar, and this image I've seen has him and his uh, assets, his sack, if you would,
His nut sack. Like
uh,
just call it what it is. A big old nut sack. Oh
and
my
I have
gosh.
to see if this is real or if this is just like a cursed Twitter image that I found. Excuse me. And
Yeah,
yeah, I just
it's
I have to see it. It looks funny. It just looks
it's
hilarious.
it's called The Vampire Dies in No Time, and I've watched
Mm.
the first episode because I too had to find out if this was a thing, and it in fact is. But it's a hilarious just comedy where it starts out showing this, you know, like, oh no, the vampire has stolen my children, and this vampire hunter goes up there to defeat him, and it turns out that the vampire like dies, like it turns into ash, like a pile of ash, like with the slightest provocation, like a door is opened on him, oh no, and he turns into a pile of ash, and he can still talk because he actually reforms again, and then he turns into ash for everything. He gets too surprised and stuff like that. And he tries to act like a big bad vampire sometimes, but he's actually just a goofball who likes retro games. And it turns out the kid that was missing just kept coming to his castle during the daytime and playing his retro games. And so they mistaked him for kidnapping the kid. And so the vampire hunter and him are kind of like trading barbs and kind of trying to, and the vampire hunter is trying to rescue the kid. It turns out the kid's just a little punk. So, and then he basically ends up having all these funny hijinksy, kind of almost Looney Tunes esque kind of moments,
Hmm.
and then his castle burns down. So he moves in with the vampire hunter. So he shows up to the vampire hunter's office with like a bunch of retro consoles, the armadillo, his coffin, and he's just like hanging out in his lobby. It's so funny. It's just such a, and the vampire
Oh
hunter's like,
my
"What are you
god.
doing here? What? Why are you here?" He's like, "Well, my house burned down. You seem this place seemed comfortable." And he's like, "You can't live here." He's like, "Well, it's your fault." And he's like, "No, it's your fault." It's just so it just ends up kind of being like this like odd couple thing going on, and then more and more stuff kind of rolls into it. But I loved the first episode, and that armadillo does indeed exist. So you'll be happy to know that
I'm
if we had
excited.
more people watching it, we would you would be able to use that as your avatar again without getting in trouble.
Oh yeah. 'Cause I had it as my Discord icon, and then people started adding me on Discord, and I was like, these people are seeing me with this big sacked armadillo, and I just don't know if this is what I want. Hmm. We'll see. We'll see how long this
So what'd you switch
armadillo
it to?
lasts.
What'd you switch it to?
So I switched it to this very tasteful image of, of Gohan, who seems to be adorning something in the distance. And you can't see it unless you really zoom in. And you have to zoom in far to see what it is. But he looks to be adorning pirate treasure, chests of sorts. and you can see it in his sunglasses. It's a nice image.
I love you dancing around what things actually are. It's hilarious.
It's a it's a skill I have.
Gohan's glasses. Yeah, it's a skill. Gohan is basically has sunglasses that are reflecting the titties he's looking at. Clearly, we know who the real hentai Hokage is in this group.
Oh man, oh man.
Oh man, good
So
stuff. Good stuff. What else are you watching?
that's actually it. I'm gonna go to
Oh,
Vampire Dies quickly, and that'll be it. But apart from anime, games. So
oh
uh,
man, games.
I'll start us off
You
since I
do it.
have big news. I have finished Final Fantasy 13.
Oh,
I've
thank
done
God.
it. We don't have to talk about it anymore until I start the second one and the third one. So I
Ah,
was
yes.
I now have started Final Fantasy 8, and I really like everything except for Squall so far. Squall and Renoa. Those two are unbearable. Um Everything else is pretty cool. I like the cast. It's very Naruto-esque. With them getting they're all in squads. They get these missions to go perform, and they have to stick with the client till the mission's done. And I thought that was pretty cool. I like how Zell is almost Naruto-y, and then you have Selphie, who is almost Sakura-ish. And I'm really probably just drawing these analogies as I find them, because Zell is like a real go-getter, and he's always like going rah, 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 just trying to go, and it's like, okay, Naruto, slow down. We're gonna get there, guy. And just fucking what's his name? Squall is just the worst. Like his teacher was really trying to have this weird personal, probably inappropriate relationship with him. And he said, go talk to somebody else. Go talk to a wall. I don't want to have your problems with me. And it was just awful. You 3 days grace reject. Shut up. And
Okay, so he's
so
Sasuke.
yeah, he's like he's like Sasuke Shippuden, but in Naruto OG. Like it doesn't make sense. He shouldn't be there. And
Yeah.
and Renoa is just as bad. Like she's in the middle of this teenage rebellion, but in a political sense too, like where she's trying to stage this coup against the government, and then she's throwing a fit against her dad, who's one of the governors. And it's really like she went in the room and pouted and sat on the floor and like shooed her dad off. And I was like, this is really weird. But the biggest thing that has me going is definitely the side characters in this side plot with Laguna. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but it's pretty cool, I guess, until that pays off. And the Guardian forces, I really like those. The artwork is pretty cool. I like the cards for them, and I like using them, like leveling them up. You get these perks as you work them, and it's a lot of integrated system with that. Um, I like it a lot more than Materia. It's not near as tedious as Materia, but those are
You know how
my
I feel about you know how I feel about Final Fantasy VIII. I still got a
yeah,
grudge to hold.
yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Those are just my initial impressions so far. I finished disc one today. Um, I think I'm gonna blitz through it. I'm using a guide, the same guide that I used for Final Fantasy VII from Jagged Edge. I think they make these really good detailed guides, so you don't miss anything. You get all the critical stuff, and it's good. It's real good shit from them. I'll have to shout them out. But let's see what else. Am I playing anything else? Um, you and me, we played Battleship, Hasbro's
Yes.
Battleship, and that was unexpectedly an amazing time. Like
It was a
you
really
wouldn't
good time.
you wouldn't think Battleship would just be like a fun ass time. I think we spent like probably a good hour, like just
Yeah.
just playing Battleship, and like they integrated so much new things, like a sonar, a strike
Hmm.
across the ground or across a line. And like it's fun. You get these points that you can use for perks and whatnot. All your ships are different sizes, and it's a lot of new fun stuff in Battleship, and that's been a blast. We definitely need to play more of that. Um,
Yeah. Definitely. They, believe it or not, they actually have another map. So I kept us on the classic square, but there's one that's kind of mostly square with like kind of a little offset area. And so
Oh,
it makes it even more complicated because you know how you have those like single line airstrikes or torpedoes and things like that. Well, there's a smaller area. So if they're hiding in that area, you don't get as much coverage. So
right.
it's really creative. But I had a
Hmm.
freaking blast with it. I uh I I actually streamed it today on my Twitch channel, twitch.com/bonsai bandit. That's me, by the way. I was just hanging out with a friend playing it, and we did it for 2 hours, and I was awesome at it. I won every game but two of them. I'm gonna take that one to the bank. But it's a lot of fun, and it was also like the start of us getting a chance to kind of like actually sit down and enjoy some games and like hang out together for the first time in a little while, and it was a blast. It really was a nice kind of like, you know, cap to a long day, and I look forward to doing it more. We're gonna try to get Streets of Rage 4 going
Yeah,
whenever I figure out how to fix it.
very excited for that. Streets of Rage 4 looked amazing. I also
Yes.
started Halo Infinite today, and that was also a blast. I've been bullied into Halo Infinite, and wow, just wow. That is that's probably my first time playing a realistic game or something that's not anime or cartoonish in a long time, and
hmm
it's so cool going to something that's not cartoon or animated, and of course something that's brand new too. So like the quality is up there. Like I'm looking at something really nice. I'm not looking at anime anymore. So
hmm
it's fun to see stuff like that and the changes.
So in your experience so far, like, do you have to know the lore of Halo to enjoy the single player campaign?
So I had to ask my brother about one facet that I didn't know. Um, Apart from that, yeah. But I only say yeah because I'm a lore nut, and
Oh yeah, that's
so
true.
so me coming off of Halo 3 was really my bread and butter, and I know that coming into Halo Infinite, I would be asking questions like, "Where's where's Cortana?
hmm
Where is Mas or where's Sergeant Johnson? Where's Earth? What is going on? What the fuck
hmm
is this? What is a forerunner?" And all these questions would be coming up, and so that's just me that I dig into things and I ask too many questions, and so I would end up doing a deep dive, or I would play the games again or for the first time. And that never hurts to do that, but I'm sure there's a lore video that breaks it down because there's also books, and so there's a
Oh
lot.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
But
I really
I
only played Halo 1, so I was kind of curious if I could play Halo Infinite.
I mean, you could at a face level. And I mean, if you just want to play a shooter, a real good sci-fi shooter, I'm sure you could get away with it. But I wouldn't be able to do that because I
Gotcha.
know Halo 3. And I mean, I've played all the Halos except Halo Wars. And some of the lore from Halo Wars seeped over into Halo Infinite, and that's why I didn't know what was going on. Because I was like, what the fuck is this? So I talked to my brother, and
Really?
he's like, oh, that's one of the guys from Halo Wars 2. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that
What?
explains it. So now I have some work to do.
Wow.
I have to go play a couple extra games. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all up to you and how far you really want to dive.
That makes sense.
I
I'll
think as
probably
long
just
as
go
you
play
play
through
the
all the
numbered
Halos.
games, you can pull. Yeah,
Yeah, because
it
I
couldn't
only
hurt.
played the first one, and I have the whole collection. I have the Master Chief collection, which I think covers pretty much everything now.
Except Wars, the Halo Wars games,
Well, guess what?
and 5. It doesn't
I
cover
have
5.
Xbox Game Pass for PC,
They're
so I
shutting that
have.
down at the beginning of February.
Wait, what?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That's not true.
No, I know because some games do leave the platform. So I was like, wait, they're gonna remove Halo?
No,
What?
I don't think so.
Microsoft?
Surely not. Oh, I hope not, because I still gotta beat Infinite. I'm gonna rush through this now.
No, no, no. Halo is a Microsoft property. It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Man, there's actually a lot of really good games on this. I'm like halfway looking at it, seeing if Halo Wars is on here, and it is, mind you.
Dragon Quest 11 is on there.
Wait, really?
Dragon Quest 11 S. Mm-hmm. That's been on there for a bit. I was wondering if that would ever come off. I bought it on Steam just in case it ever did. So I'll
What?
be
Oh, they
excited to
have
go through
Dragon
that
Quest
again.
Builders 2 on here as well.
Yep. That seems like a Switch game though. I don't think I want that on here. But anyway, that's all the games I'm playing,
Yeah.
Steven. What are you playing?
I am, of course, continuing my journey through my second round of Persona 5 Royal. It's going pretty well. I won't really go into detail about it because it's the second time around. It's just like this is a thing I'm going to continue to do. This is my Final Fantasy 13,
No,
I'm
don't compare it to that.
I'm
Don't
bound.
compare it to that.
I'm bound and determined. Yeah, it's not a good comparison. Like it's a good story. Like I'm loving everything I'm experiencing again, even for the second time. But it is a bit more of a slog because I kind of know what's coming. But it also helps me be more efficient, I guess. I'm enjoying that, and I also just want to get to the end so I can actually hit the credits, like take a picture, and be like, "Look, boys, I did it. I'm done for reals this time." And then I can start playing all
We're
the other
waiting
games
for
that
it.
I need to, because that's the biggest reason I want to start playing other games. And for every moment that I play something else, it's time away from finishing Persona 5. So that's kind of my motivation right now, is like I can't play anything else until I beat Persona 5 Royal. But I totally have played other things in the meantime because I am
Yeah.
a responsible adult. As we talked about, we play Battleship, and I am like, okay, so I chose Battleship one because we couldn't get that ding. Some of the multiplayer games we did want to play working, and I remember watching a stream of some people playing it, and I was like, this seems like fun. And that bad boy was on sale for $5, so I'm all about Battleship. Like the last like 48 hours, and I'm kind of rared up for some more because it's just fun and funny. It's a very reactive and enjoyable experience, and you take all the little plastic pegs out of the equation and you just play the game. Awesome experience. I spent 2 hours playing it today, and then we spent an hour last night, and I'll probably put a couple more hours in like within the next week. But the other thing I'm playing still is SteamWorld Dig 2. You talked about it quite a bit. And I got it on sale for like I think like $5.99 or something like that on one of the Switch
It was
sales.
cheap.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like the first game was like $2, and the second game was like $5 or $6. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I think I got most of the SteamWorld games through that sale. As a matter of fact, like the SteamWorld Quest and SteamWorld Heist and of that ilk. But I started playing SteamWorld Dig 2, and I'm really liking what it is. It also moves really quickly. I don't know if there's a lot of game there, but I feel like I've gone through. I've gotten really far down into the dirt, and I haven't played too long. I'd say I've played about 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours.
No.
So,
So you move down, but then you start
mhm.
moving sideways. And SteamWorld
Mm.
Dig 2 does not stop fucking moving. And it just doesn't stop.
No,
Like
no,
it
you're
keeps
right.
giving. And it's enough to keep you upgrading and everything. It gives a lot. So you don't even have to just quit. You can just keep exploring. It's great. It gives a lot. But man, it is very heavy with the objectives.
Yeah, I just got to the I guess the weird like hope like kind of like rednecky village.
Oh yeah, where the human town, yeah.
Yeah, I forget what they call them, but they like to blow things up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just got there, so I'm looking forward to playing more of that. It's a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I also I tried a game called Ark Survival Evolved because
Damn it, Steven.
I I
Damn it.
okay, look,
Damn
it's
it.
definitely it's in the same wheelhouse as like Minecraft and other gather crafting games, but it's far more complex. And
Yes.
I I I gotta say it's a little intimidating, but at least I could get to the actual game from the menu, unlike Minecraft. I don't know why it's different, but it's like I can actually just start the effing game on Ark, and I got into it, and I immediately got killed by a dinosaur. I was like, all right, that's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
You you can poop Like there's actually a button for pooping, which is such a bizarre thing. But yeah, I tried to I was trying to gather stuff and build things, and I made a fire. I was very proud of myself, and I was trying to figure out how to cook food. And it turns out like the fire has an inventory or something like that. And I didn't realize, I didn't know you could do this, but I was standing on top of the fire, killing myself while I was trying to cook meat. It just turns out I was cooking myself. And then I died, and I said, "That's enough for today." And I haven't gone back to it since. But the biggest, most
Good.
hurtful thing about
Don't.
this mother trucking game is 147 gigabytes. It took me a day and a half to install. That was
God.
insane. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a
Oh
pretty
yeah.
looking game. It seems fun. It seems like a thing that I would like if I had like a million more hours. But I don't. So I don't know if I'll necessarily go deep into that game until later. I have a lot of other games I want to play, and I'm really enjoying. I enjoyed streaming today so much, which was kind of an impromptu thing that I want to try streaming again. And I don't even care if anybody watches me. I just want to do it. It seems like a fun thing to do, and even for just my friends. But I want to do things like play Horizon Zero Dawn because Forbidden West is coming out. I still have not finished God of War. I played it for about 2 hours, so I technically didn't really start it all that much either. Stuff like that. Uh, I think that's really all the games I'm playing at the moment. I've been doing
Shaking
a
my
lot of
head.
multiplayer gaming. Now, I know you're shaking your head. Judge me all you want, good sir. But I've been playing a lot of multiplayer games. I did play Mario Party Superstars with some of the boys. That is a lot of fun. That was easily a highlight of my last week. I played with Will and Shane and got to play some mini games, and I really enjoyed myself. It was a lot of fun. It works really, really well. Um,
That it?
Actually, I haven't played that many. I guess I played that multiplayer game in Battleship, and that's about it. I thought it was more, but I didn't play any Smash or Guilty Gear. So
That'll do. That's a
indeed,
lot. That is a lot of
yeah,
games.
we have been doing a lot. Let's be real with ourselves. It's been the most active week in a long time.
Yeah. So, with that, we'll go ahead and push on to the potatoes and the meats. Um, segue on to part two of our K-On! And our BECK comparisons without any
Hmm.
further ado. So, at the end of last week's episode, we were going on comparing each episode, kind of just laying it out, the comparisons of these two shows. What's similar about them? They are similar in premise. It's two high school musicians, and they both take two completely different routes after they kind of discover their flair for music and what they decide to do. Um, in K-On!, one girl joins a music club and they end up joining, or they end up just kind of showing out and just doing music there. The other one joins an outside music group and they end up rocking out America. So, two different avenues, all from kind of finding out a flair for music, whether accidental or not, as we talked about in K-On! Last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end of season one in K-On!, the last episode, a music club first comes. Oh God, I forgot I had these really shitty translations. So I kind of have these broken
Tell me
down
what
by
it says. Tell me
it
what it says.
says a music club first time comes forward outside school. I don't. I guess that
Ooh.
means they perform outside. I don't remember it being like an outside concert. I'm mixing this up with Zombieland Saga because I can picture that, a scene like that in Zombieland Saga. But I think I remember them doing the end of uh the end of season one inside the school. They finally are all performing on stage, is what I remember. But maybe I'm not remembering that right. I don't know. But that was the end of season one where we left off last week. The end of Beck, we left off with the guys in Beck finding themselves on a guest list at Dying Breed's show, and Koyuki actually got to perform with the idols. They brought him up on stage, and he actually got to show his shit. It got him a lot of clout, as they say nowadays. So that's kind of where we end there. Do you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, Oh well, yeah, because the reason Koyuki gets a lot of clout for that in the end, not only is it because Ryusuke knows the leader of Dying Breed. They're filming a documentary about Dying Breed when Koyuki goes up on stage to sing. So it kind of puts him out there. Like Dying Breed's like this huge act, and while Beck is definitely in the kind of indie band category, like this is one of my favorite things about the show is they really kind of highlight how much the difference between them. While they may know, like, was it the leader of Dying Breed and Ryusuke may know each other, they don't really like springboard off of that.
Mhm.
I guess it's like a respect thing, but they also show like the small venues that this band plays in, and like how it is to play to a group of people that's only like 12 strong, versus like these big crazy crowds. And that's the thing is like, you know, K-On! I like K-On! A lot. I think it's fun, but they do like a lot of times get like the attention of a lot of people, when in reality, like when you're in a band, it doesn't start that way. You don't just show up for your music club and like everybody's like this big crowd is like, hey, they're amazing. Like when you're in a band, a lot of times it's finding a venue that'll actually let you play, and then there's like 7 people kind of hanging around, and you know, maybe 2 or 3 of them kind of dig what you're doing. um and I'm sure there's exceptions to every rule. Of course, I'm not going to say. I'm sure there's some bands that have had like, you know, lightning rod kind of attention, but for the majority of other bands that go out and have their own instruments, their own equipment, and have to do all that legwork, it's hard. And Beck sells that part more. You know, just the level of practice Koyuki has to put in, rotating band members, like small venues, small crowds, and things like that. Um, it's just how it actually works. Now they do start to pick up from this point on in the story, so I at least for a story like this, it makes sense for them to accelerate a little faster. So,
Yeah, that's a good
anyways,
way to
yeah.
put it. The pedal actually gets put in the car for them at that point. They
Hmm.
start revving. Um, so we'll kind of carry on with Beck at that point. So after that, they kind of have to end up having to lead this cultural festival at the school. Saku,
Hmm.
I don't remember exactly when he gets brought on, but Saku is here now at this point, and I know we talked about him a little bit last time, but
Hmm.
he's there helping Koyuki with this festival, and him and Saku are trying to help this jazz band, not jazz band. It's a little bit of a rock band. I remember them having some difficulty adapting because this
Hmm.
guy asked them, and it wasn't right for them. But they ended up doing it. It's a good way to show off the chops they've been working with Beck. They go in, they show out. Let's see. Ryusuke drives the guys from Beck hard, consuming all energy and time. Ryusuke refuses to give up, and his body can't take any more. So Koyuki is giving his all. I want to say he got sick, is what happened here. It's not like he just
Hmm.
passed out or anything. I think he just got sick, maybe to the point where his voice got affected. But it it's real draining. Just Koyuki was fucking doing that thing. It was good shit.
Hmm. And
Um,
that also is a real thing. Like when you're like, there was a period of time when I was in a band where we played 3 shows in one day, and you know, and then like in a weekend, I think one weekend we did 5 shows, and it just it wears out your body, not like both your throat, your legs, your arms. Like it's a very draining experience, unloading, loading equipment, driving around town, and it's mentally exhausting too. So it can lead you to physical sickness, and that's a very real thing that happens. And I thought that was like, these little things they do just show that Beck's creator either was part of a band and knows how to portray it, or it went really in depth with the research. So yeah, Koyuki gets sick for a bit. As a matter of fact, this leads into some of the some more connection with the female lead Maho,
yeah, she
who
starts trying to.
who takes care of him.
Yeah, their relationship starts forming. And I didn't really appreciate her in the first half of the show. I really kind of thought she was just annoying, just being there. But I really started appreciating her towards the end, as she stopped being kind of her own celebrity, because that's what she was, right? She was like a pop singer or something, or like a little local pop star, and
Yeah.
she kind of started supporting her brother in Koyuki's band, or Beck, a little bit more, helping them out. I really started appreciating her. Next episode, Eddie receives a threat Eddie from Dying Breed, and the ramifications echo across the sea to Ryusuke. Trouble is brewing and somebody could get hurt. This is all coming from, oh, who's the guy that owns Lucille? Is that Leon Sykes? Leon Sykes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
So that
he's
okay.
he's a little bit of a caricature of a certain tropes. Like he's got the dark glasses, the fedora and suit, it like kind of like almost like a sort of like a feather boa or something like that. It's something really ridiculous that makes him look a little bit like a pimp.
Yeah, real pimpy outfit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is kind of where we start seeing the beginning of the plot, kind of for Beck. Well, a lot of this has all been up being the setup for the band. Everything's starting to form. I don't want to say the clay is being prepped, and now we're gonna start seeing the plot. So Eddie and what's his name, Ryusuke, are clearly in dealings with this Leon Sykes guy, who is a big band or big musician over from the U.S., pimping out these. I'll say he's pimping whatever he's doing. I don't quite remember exactly what the deal is. I think they take money or they take deals from Leon, and they have to make good on him or pay back, or else it's their ass. Like I'm pretty sure that Ray has a gun to his head at some point. It got intense for a minute, but we'll get back to that. So next up, Koyuki is bummed that his dream guitar has been sold to someone else, and Maho is hanging out with a jerk. So he's actually starting to develop his feelings. He's realizing that he likes Maho. Things begin looking up, and the owner of an indie label starts sniffing around Beck's merchandise table. They also have to start dealing with not selling out, contracting, labels, things like
Yeah.
that. And it actually happens here in the next episode. An indie label wants to release Beck's album in the United States, and if the record begins to climb the charts, it would mean the cash would start rolling in. Otherwise, Koyuki may be screwed. Don't know what that means, but they actually do this. Ray, I keep saying his whole name. Ray actually does this. He actually goes and signs the deal, but it actually turns out to not be a good deal for them to go do this label for this or this tour, I guess is what you could call it. Or he's about to go do it. He makes this decision, and he tells the guys afterwards, like, "Hey guys, we got a label," and they're all like, "Oh wow, this is great." And he's like, "But this is what it's going to cost us." And they're like, "This is awful. We are doing this for free," and so it's not quite what they all wanted or intended.
So one of the big things about when you're in a band, and that this is my follow up to what you were saying about Ryusuke getting them into a label and it not really being perfect, is that, again, like I feel like what I really kind of want to talk about in the case of Beck is it's a very real and authentic experience, and you run into that sort of thing when you're in a band. You encounter people who do see potential in your group, but you also run into people who are here to make a buck. We had a band called 2 Seconds Left, and we were very, very fond of like just being our cool little punk ska selves and everything. But we encountered somebody who wanted to promote us, and we're like, hey, that's awesome, that's great. But they all of a sudden wanted to start doing things like, hey, let's change the image of like what you do. Like they wanted us to wear basketball jerseys, and there's 2 seconds left on the clock, and things like that. It was like the whole image was supposed to change. Yeah, I know, really cringy, right?
Yeah, a
And
little bit.
like I was in like dirty freaking dive bar live music venues, playing with a bunch of guys in like torn up clothes, and I was playing a saxophone. Like it just I if we had followed that person's advice, the look that we would have adopted wouldn't even match the kind of culture we were really engaging with. So it didn't make sense. And so of course we were smart enough to not go for that. But there are
Yeah.
a lot of people out there. There are a lot of bands out there that want to make it their job and get support. So some people might make a compromise in that case. And I think that's really what this part of the anime really signifies, is showing you what bands have to do or might do to become more successful. Because let's be realistic, money doesn't grow on trees, and being paid like $20 for a show, which believe it or not, if you have a little light show and if you actually get money, they don't pay you a lot. You get like, I think we got $50 from a show once. We got more than that on another one, but it was just like, there's 7 people in the band at the time.
Yeah.
And so when you get a payday of $50, it doesn't cover it. It barely covers the gas. So, there's a drive to make it a career when you love something that much, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And I think that's really kind of what this sells here. So it was for me, like every episode that I encountered something like this, it really kind of impressed me.
No, yeah, it's kind of I guess a reality check for everyone to kind of see what could really be in store for them when they all have these dreams, these hot dreams of what they think everything's going to be, but then this little dose hits of what really could be when it doesn't really all settle the way they think the dice are going to. But with that, we'll go on to a little bit more plot progression for them. Leon Sykes, Mr. A pimp named Sykes, comes back, and he actually comes to Japan with Prudence on his mind. Prudence is the guitar, I believe, that he lent to Ryusuke.
No, it's Lucille.
Lucille. Who's Prudence?
I'm trying to remember. Like it's been a while because Lucille's the one that has the bullet holes in it, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's literally modeled after I think it was BB King's guitar in real life.
Prudence is one of his guitars as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he drops in on Ryusuke's shack from a helicopter. He makes a big scene of visiting Ryusuke, letting him know shit's real, and he wants Prudence. And after that, A Star is Born When Dying Breeds tour movie hits the big screen, and Koyuki's performance is in the film, and a very intense lady tracks BECK to Ryusuke's shack. This lady is what sets them up to kind of the penultimate event for the whole entire series, and that's the Grateful Sound Music Festival. I've seen like concerts in anime. I've seen festivals in anime, but the Grateful Sound Music Festival is the festival of festivals. This shit was tense. It was hype. It was amazing. Now the build up for it was a little oh no, but getting there and watching it all happen was pretty good. I mean, granted, you had 20 something episodes getting there, but it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
So Grateful Sound Music Festival nears, and all the guys in BECK are having dreams packed with visions of hope. And they actually have visions. So everyone has this vision of rock stars that all kind of help them pick up the remains of the festival. And it's like, hey, we're leaving this all behind for you. You do what you need to do. And everyone has this dream except for Chiba. And it really fucks with Chiba that he's not on the same wavelength. Like he thinks he's supposed to be left behind or something. And he actually kind of ends up ditching the band for a bit. And it was really sad to see him just kind of quit. So Ryusuke wants to begin prepping a new BECK album, but Chiba focuses on a side project, which isn't music. He dips and opens up a ramen shop. Koyuki doesn't need an excuse to work on his music, and his mind is spewing. Koyuki is working. Like I want to say at this point he's met with a couple big names, and like people have wanted to sell his songs. I think if not, we're getting to a point where people are going to want to. But he's been asked to perform. He's done things publicly. Koyuki is doing really well at this point, and he is fully indulged in music making, and he's really realizing his potential as a musician. He's doing really good. Do you have anything you wanted to add on that, Steven?
No, I'm gonna let you get through the whole shebang before I start talking about this portion of the series.
Okay, so Ryusuke putting pressure on BECK, but the night before the Grateful Sound concert, they get a chance to react, and Koyuki blows his confidence in front of an audience. So they kind of have like big meltdown, and shit starts getting real funky. So Chiba doesn't make it, and it messes with them. I want to say he didn't even get on the train to go to this concert, and shit just starts getting bad. So Ryusuke disappears, I think. Uh, Leon Sykes is expecting things to happen from Ryusuke, and stuff's not going the way it's supposed to be. And Koyuki has to kind of make a festival happen on his own. And so um, he, Koyuki has to kind of freestyle and do things and pull the gang back together as he can. And so next up, the festival is starting. The guys in Beck are at each other's throats, and kind of like I said, Chiba's missing, and a heavy rain is falling. Um, while all this is happening, there's another band that's performing right now, and they're kind of competing with Beck for the lead spot. And they know Beck's hot shit. They know this is the boy that performed with Dying Breed, and along with that, it's also a guy that's competing with Koyuki for Maho at the same time for her heart, I guess you could say. Um, I don't think she knows what's going on, but I think they had that moment where they were like, "Oh, we're doing this for love." Okay, as musicians, we're doing this for love. And so, just to add on to Koyuki's music management, so Chiba's not there. Everyone's fighting. Ryusuke's ran off, and now the only guy left is the drummer. Is it I believe was left, and so they they have to just make it happen. Rain is falling down. I think they had 3 or 4 sites where these music festival things were happening at, and I want to say that Beck's was at the farthest one, and so they had to figure out a way to get this site popping so they could get the most people there. And Ryusuke finally. Oh, we're actually getting there. I'm jumping ahead episodes, so a lot of this was a blur because I watched them all back to back. So
It's a very intense part of the series. It really
it,
is.
it is. It was great.
It's a lot to deal with. Man, go ahead, because like
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of like I have a whole like spiel afterwards.
All right. So the festival. Oh, that was it. Tensions as well as the mud are thick at the Grateful Sound Music Festival. With only one song left, possibly Beck's last song ever, the guys take it up a notch. So, Koyuki actually pulls it out of his ass. Him and the drummer, they're like, we have to go out there, but the drummer has no confidence, and he's like, we don't even have the band. What are we gonna do? And so Koyuki gets out there. And he starts singing a Beatles song, I think, and he just kind of does it a cappella, and everyone's loving it. Everyone starts.
He has an acoustic guitar in this scene, and in the American version, in the Western release version, as you know, we can't just use Beatles music because in Japan they can't. And this is actually really important. This is like the most dramatic moment in the series, and it's drama for drama's sake. And I'll own it. Like this is a very specific situation. This doesn't happen in real life normally, but the fallout between members absolutely can. But it is such an epic moment because he's only backed up by his best boy Saku, and even Saku's like, I can't do this with you, man. Like it's just you and me. This is just it's a wrap. We're not going to beat those other guys we're competing with, because they actually have like a little you ever seen those counters, like whenever like you're doing laps or something like that, they have people at
the people.
as they come into the area, and they're really sucking it up. It's raining, people are like completely getting bored, like what the hell is happening? And Koyuki steps out on stage with an acoustic guitar and starts playing I've Got a Feeling by the Beatles, in his own rendition, of course. And man, it is such a moment because in the Japanese dub, in the original version of it, when he is playing I've Got a Feeling, which they had to make up an original song for the Western release. So I'm not as big of a fan. Like I feel like the impact is not there like it is, because a lot of times throughout the entire series they bring up Western bands, English bands, American bands, and things like that. I think the Sex Pistols come up at one point, and different stuff like that. So it's important to the plot, in my opinion, that I've got a feeling is played because it's what catches the attention of the audience because it is a Beatles song. It is something that people know, and he's playing it in his own way. And then I think it's just probably one of the most epic moments in the series. He's playing through the song, and then Saku jumps on stage, just walks onto stage, and just starts playing the drum beat behind him. And then Tyra shows up. Uh, After that, I believe they actually end up attracting the attention of Chiba. And you start seeing, as you're going through this, you see that people are starting to pour into the venue, or at least the stage they're at in the venue. And it's going to be like this big epic moment. And then, of course, Ryusuke shows up, and he shows up on stage after kind of shaking Leon, if I recall correctly. And so he joins the show, and last but not least, Chiba starts crawling through the crowd and actually gets lifted up by the crowd and brought onto the stage, where they pretty much just wrap that rendition of I've Got a Feeling, which is like just such a feel good moment. And then they launch right into like one of their own songs with Chiba and everybody working together. It's a dramatic moment in the story, but it's such a good moment. And as I recall, they end up becoming the most talked about show at Grateful Sound, and that kind of transitions them into getting a tour in America, if I recall correctly. And I think that's really where the series ends. Is like they kind of do like a little like photo montage with a voiceover of them being in America. Which, if you read the manga, they actually go on a tour in America and it continues
Yep.
the story from there. But yeah, that's kind of like that big penultimate moment in that series. And again, like I said before, the infighting in bands is a real thing. Like the pressure of showing up to practices, trying to have a job, significant others. You worry about what people think. Like, because trust me, when you're in a band, people are always going to kind of tell you, "Do you really want to do that?" Because it's not a lot of bands fail, and that's the truth. There's no denying that. So you have plenty of people in your life that want to tell you you shouldn't do this. And then, like for instance, like when we used to go do our practices, the person who could host our practice at the time, which is very hard to do, they cover that in the show too. In Japan, you have to rent practice spaces where it's like soundproofed and things like that, and so that's also money you have to spend whenever you want to do that. But for us, we had to go to a specific person's house. That person's house was like 30 minutes on the other side of town. So you talk about like trying to drive 30 minutes one way, 30 minutes back. You have to unload equipment, set it up, practice, and actually kind of when you are a band and you have to teach 7 people music, it can get tense. Some people just want to hang out and have fun and just like screw around. Some people want to take it very seriously. So you kind of have to be on the same wavelength. And I think that's really what happens in the end of Beck is that's why Chiba gets so upset and kind of like leans more heavily on the ramen shop or being trained as a ramen chef is because everybody else has this moment. They're on the same wavelength and he's not. And that stress of not being with them kind of like makes them have a little bit of a falling out. That's completely natural.
Mm-hmm.
That is a thing that happens to it in real life with bands. And so I think that overall, like while you have your awesome dramatic moment at the end of the series, this series leaned heavily into like really showing people what it's like to be in a band, like authentically. And so I think it really separates it from our high school girls quite a bit. But you're going to talk to us about the second season of K-On! So uh, what you got, Trey?
Yes, sir. Now, while they all may be the same age, like I said, this was a completely different route. If you chose the high school girl route, you see a completely different venue.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it kind of goes for K-On! Season 2, this is another 24 episodes, but I'm going to kind of blitz through these. But this one's a little bit more about leaving a legacy, or 24 episodes in a movie. This is more about leaving a legacy while looking forward. And we kind of see that in this first episode where the girls decide to recruit new members for the light music club. So Azusa won't be alone, or she won't be the only member. So they
Mm-hmm.
do bring on 2 new girls, Ui and June. Um, Ui's the sister, never mind. So they do bring in June. So they go through a couple more shenanigans. You know, it's more K-On! Girls find an old guitar and it ends up being worth a lot of money. Ritsu decides she doesn't want to play the guns. She decides she doesn't want to play the drums, and she tries out other instruments instead. Uh, Third-year students, including Yui, Mio, Ritsu, and Sumagi, are off to Kyoto for a school field trip. Oh boy. Azusa, Ui, and June have a sleepover while the seniors are visiting a school field trip. So, you know, some sequential stuff. What I like what I'm seeing here is, you know, we're not doing double beach episodes. We're not being lazy. So Yui becomes sopping wet. She has to do a maid outfit so that she can let her outfit dry. This is one of the teacher's maid's outfits that she had to wear for this episode.
I want you to understand that transition was unexpected. If my face was just blown away, Ui becomes sopping wet and then has to wear a maid uniform. What?
Oh, yeah, that's actually how they had it written out here too. That's not me.
Oh my
That wasn't
gosh.
me. So Mio feels like she's being watched. It reminds her of when Megumi Sogabe was obsessed with her and was the president of her fan club. Uh, Yui doesn't know how to fill out her future plans and ask her friends what they want to do. Ritsu's on the same page as Yui, and they're scolded for indecisiveness. So a lot of usual kind of high school shenanigans. If you've watched other high school animes, you're going to know what to expect here, kind of across the board. Not to downplay K-On! If you like K-On!, like it. But
yeah, there's plenty of enjoyable banter in the series.
yeah, no, by all means, you're here for the chemistry, not for the meat here. You're here for the chemistry. So Yui joins the school's popular music club, though she never played a musical instrument before. Somehow she comes to be known as the latest guitar prodigy, which leads to, of course, hilarious situations as Yui normally finds herself in. And they decide to follow their music teacher in the next episode and overhear suspicious phone calls. Girls try to distract themselves from intense heat by telling ghost stories after trying in vain to cool down, which is really funny because Mio is incredibly superstitious. In the first season, she can't.
Oh, that's right. She's really scared. She's really scared of things.
As summer vacation starts, here we go. The girls go to a rock music festival in the mountains, and each of them get a different experience as they split up to find entertainment and inspiration. Yui finds a school without any prior music, joins the school without any prior music experience. Azusa spends time with Yui, and senior students prepare for exams. Excuse me. Yui gets help from Nodoka with her homework, and Sumagi and Ritsu get up to some hijinks when they decide to spend time together. Friendship, and dare I say the theme of overall is friendship. The girls enter a 5K race as summer vacation ends. Everything starts out normally until Yui goes missing. Oh shit, boy. Azusa decides to get serious and, and knuckle down with her practices, but sessions are constantly interrupted. The girls discover the club's unavailable due to repairs. A class play offers Mio and Ritsu the chance to be the stars of a class romantic tragedy. However, Mio is worried about their performance. School play begins, crucial prop grows missing, and amid the hustle, Azusa worries about finding enough time to practice for an upcoming concert. I'm mixing up all my all my consonants. Yui joins the school. Hey, wait a minute. I already said that one. Yui joins the school. Didn't I? Hang on. Yui joins the school's popular music club, although she's never played a musical instrument before. Wait a minute.
It's literally the entire description of the series.
Of the series itself. Yeah. I thought that was kind of weird. Maybe it's a different instrument. I don't remember that. So
I like that your notes have just gotten really convoluted.
They have. It's easier when it's BECK. It's when it's a continuous thing. It's different when it's the same thing every time. So let's just go ahead and get down to the bottom. So I'm going to go and skip to the end. Last couple episodes. It's finally time for the graduation ceremony, and the girls perform a special song for Azusa to cheer her up as they all prepare to leave her and go do their own things. Azusa wants to make a recruitment video to spark the interest of potential new members to join the club, and Nadaka shows the girls a sample of the senior yearbook. Azusa makes preparations for freshman reception. So she kind of takes on the mantle.
Yeah.
and the girls leave. K-On! The movie. Graduation looms for the founding members of the Light Music Club with only a few precious weeks. So yeah, they just go on a trip. They go to many different places. I don't even know if I saw the movie. I don't think I did. But after a little help from the club's precious pet turtle Ton Chan, what? London is chosen as their next misadventure. They eat, they do clumsy things in clumsy places. The fun won't last forever, as heartfelt songs and goodbyes will be made as their high school days together come as a close. One thing is certain, though: the undeniable friendships these girls have formed is something that will carry on after the final scene rolls. So this movie is meant to be the final goodbye for
Uh-huh.
everything for these girls. So that's kind of it.
I look.
It,
That's always a really bit of a challenge with these kinds of shows. It's like it's very much like hijinks ensue, and like you said,
yeah,
it is about the friendship. It's about the chemistry between the characters that really is what's on show here. And I think ultimately that's why it has such a very different feel from from Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, is because it is about the girls and their friendship through the lens of music, whereas Beck is very much about music and being in a band through the lens of characters. And because here's the thing, I don't want to say like, you know, K-On! Is character driven, so it doesn't really focus on the music, because because it is character driven on Beck's side as well. There's definitely a lot of details that are very much more realistic and that sort of thing, but those characters are very strong. So there's that. I just think that ultimately the music really is downplayed in K-On! To the point where it adds a soundtrack to a girl power, like friendship dynamic powered by music, rather than say, riding bikes or something like that. Like that, I think that's why, this is one of the earliest ones, but there came after K-On! A lot of similar shows and a lot of similar series where the activity was different. I mean, like you were talking about After School Dice Club, and it's kind of similar, except it's
yeah,
board games,
yeah.
you know. So this is one of the earliest examples, which is why I think it's so memorable. And it's also animated by Kyoto Animation, which I think is also makes it what's so memorable. But if I had to say anything as kind of like a final main idea about K-On! Versus Beck, it would be that one is friendship through the lens of music, and one is music with strong characters. Like I don't think either one of them is bad. Like I just think what you want to watch is going to be, and what you enjoy when you watch both is completely dependent on what you want to be seen. Um, like what do you think? I mean, I've kind of been talking for a second.
No, I don't think that's a great way to put that. So me and my brother both, I think we both normally watch anime in different ways, and we normally go for different things. My brother's very slice of lifey, and he likes getting, I guess you could say, normally feel good content normally out of his anime. So he likes watching slice of life, emotional type anime, where I
Mhm.
normally like overarching stories and I like climactic endings. I like build up, which I guess is kind of why I saw the shonen type elements in Beck, and I enjoyed it a whole lot more. My brother's a
Mhm.
big fan of K-On! Um, and I watched it, and I wasn't. I didn't like
Mhm.
how there wasn't an overall goal in K-On!, and that hurts me. Not not that I couldn't respect what it was or not understand why people did enjoy it, but there's not a goal here. I don't know what we're fighting for, and I don't want to join this if we're not going anywhere. So I'd rather go somewhere else. So just like in
Yeah.
Beck, where it's like, oh, okay, so we're trying to get a label. Okay, oh, whoa, now we're doing the Grateful Sounds concert, and that was like a
Mhm.
whole 8 episode arc, 8-10 episode arc, and that's really the kind of thing I need in my storytelling and in my anime to really understand, and things I can kind of bond with, I guess, on that emotional level. But really, when it comes to two different kind of anime with similar elements, I think you really nailed it on the head with the
Mhm.
different lenses.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it's good to be able to acknowledge what you want out of shows that you watch. I find that a very respectful thing, because sometimes like, and a good example of this is sometimes what you want to watch and how you're feeling really determines that. I like, you're very much focused on the objective. Like, you want goals and things for these characters to grow and reach. I want both and your brother wants like the easygoing, kind of fun, fluffy, kind of very enjoyable, uplifting time. I want both. And but my mood really determines which one I'm going to watch. I've watched both of K-On! And Beck, but sometimes I'm, like with the Dragon Ghost house hunting we talked about earlier, as what I'm watching. We watched that show because we need something lighthearted. Like, both my significant other and I, we we've had a very intense Christmas season and a very intense beginning of the year, and it's like, okay, so we get one day to watch a show, maybe a day and a half. Like, do we want to spend that watching like very high tension tragedy drama, or are we going to watch something fun and enjoyable? And so we made the call to do something fun and enjoyable, which was the goofiness of Dragon Ghost house hunting. But then, it could be another case where it's like, okay, I want to watch Demon Slayer. I want something with some real tension and like makes you want to see the next thing. You want to see the end result of all this training and this fight you have. And so again, it really comes down to what you want. Are both of these series fantastic? Absolutely. K-On!, Beck, both great examples of how high quality anime can be. The
Oh yeah,
tone is where it matters, and that's what it is. Choose your tone, and then pick your two. You're one of the two, and that's what you'll be happy with either one of them. Just make sure you go into it with the right thoughts. And that's kind of me, like, summing up my thoughts on the K-On! Versus Beck thing here. I had a lot of fun talking about it, and
yeah,
it's
for sure.
it's near and dear to my heart because I am still a musician, and being able to see the small struggles and the things you actually see in music portrayed on screen in Beck is great. But also seeing kind of the fun, goofy antics you can get into on K-On! Also speaks to me because, man, I've got stories and hijinks galore from when we used to get together for practice and playing shows. I mean, one of my favorite things is we were we got invited to this guy in the area. I'm gonna tell this last story before we wrap up for the night. We in the area where we live, there was this guy that was really well known in the scene. I always hate using that term, but it's just the most apt in this case.
The scene.
Yeah. But he was really well known, and he was a nice guy. He knew a lot of people, and it just so happened that his family owned land, and they're decently well off. So they would gather local bands that he really liked and put on a show. And a lot of times this was a lot of hardcore bands, like very screamy, like metally, new metally, and things like that. And they used to call it, there's this guy named Nate, and he his birthday was called Nate Fest, and they'd bring out like an 18-wheeler like flatbed and like set up stuff, and they had food and drinks, and it was like there was a ton of people out there.
Wow.
There was like, I guarantee there's like 200, maybe 300 people out there, just because it was basically like a big huge effing party with local bands.
It's
And
probably where COVID started.
absolutely, I mean, those people are gross. They listen to breakdowns and they do weird mosh pits. Like, I don't know what that's about.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. But we got invited to this thing, and we're a ska band. Like, we played saxophone and trumpet and trombone in our music. It was such a weird difference from all the other bands that were there. But we went out there and played, and it was really such a great experience because there's all these people that don't know who the heck we are, and we're on this flatbed trying to get everything to work. And our guitarist, my friend Brandon, his guitar starts shocking the shit out of him because apparently one of the wiring is all jacked up. So there's a crowd of like 200 basic metal heads sitting in front of us while I'm trying to talk to a crowd and like get them get excited and get pumped for the show, while I'm holding a saxophone, and our guitarist is trying to quickly rewire his guitar to work so we can do the show. And so he pulls it off. We start playing the show, and it goes freaking wild. Like, one of the big things we would do is there's a certain song, like the horn players would literally get into the mosh pit with our horns and like finish the song in the mosh pit. It was a lot of fun. I was, it was probably hard to hear us, things like that, but everybody loved it. I mean, I think I crowd surfed at one point while playing. But it was a great experience. And even like the parents of the person that like ran this whole thing were like, do you have merchandise or a CD or something? Because people want that. And it's like, it's such a weird experience to be like, no, we just learned all 8 of these songs last week. Like we just got invited to this thing, so we showed up. And and we eventually got a CD and merch and things like that. It was a lot of fun. But it's those weird kind of unique goofy experiences that make us all laugh and we always remember it, that I see in like something like K-On! It's the memories we made along the way. Whereas
Right.
Beck is the part
Right.
where it's like, okay, let me get my guitar repaired. Let me talk to this venue and schedule a show at what time with which bands. And, so for me, I think, like I said, it's what you want from the story that you're going to prefer one over the other. Or if you're like me, you just like them all. And with
Yeah.
that, it's time to put you to bed, Trey.
Dude, it
You
absolutely
ready for
is.
this? You
Hopefully,
ready for this?
yeah. Hopefully, I can edit this to where no one's gonna notice. But we actually went through quite a few heartaches during
Oh,
this episode.
yeah.
So hopefully you guys don't notice, and hopefully this isn't a late night. So we're gonna see.
I hope so too. Like I remember actually telling my significant other that, oh, we won't be recording that long tonight at all. We're not discussing all these different things. We'll get to bed at a reasonable hour. And then technical difficulties reared its ugly heads. But that doesn't matter. We had fun. We talked about K-On! Versus Beck. We talked about the games. We talked about the anime. We're having a great time, and that's all that matters in the end. So it's
Oh
time to
yeah.
go to bed, Trey. Let's wrap it up. Hit me with the ending.
All right, guys. So if you would like to support us, you can check us out at Senpai Kohai Podcast at patreon.com. There you can support us at whatever tier you'd like. We have harem protagonist, shonen protagonist, and isekai protagonist. There you can kind of choose whichever tier fits your liking and join us at and do whatever you'd like. Honestly, we have a Discord. Come be the first. Come check it out. There we're going to do little anime shows, kind of watch them with you and come watch it with us. We'll talk and kind of help shape the show. Give us topics, and we'll hold votes, do things with you, and just kind of hang out. We kind of like to see that internal support and kind of help shape and see where we'd like to go from here. So be sure to check that out. Check us out on all of our usual social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. They are all now Senkou Podcast. That's SENKOU Podcast. And with that, Steven, I'm getting under the sheets, man. Good night.
Me too. Good night.